Welcome everyone. I was wondering why my audio was muted. Don't know why that happened. Just streamed it, didn't decide to unmute my mic. But hello there, Alex. Thank you for joining in. And yeah, I was like, why have I got no audio on the game? And it's like, because I remembered to swap over to the Skyward Sword controllers. Just for my own, like, sanity of knowing that I'm utilizing these for something. And I'm like, okay, well, we swapped over, but then it comes up with the, like, did you change your controller screen? So we lost audio for the starting soon screen, but we'll just chalk this one up to early daylight saving times have arrived in my brain, because yeah, I may have been an entire hour late today. I know I'm normally like a little bit later than 10. Just got distracted. I completely lost track of time. I have no defense. I have no excuse. Apologies for everyone that's waiting on usual time, but I know I'm usually bad at timekeeping and I'm a little bit late, but this needs to be like, I actually am sorry. Because, like, a full hour, I understand maybe dicking people around. I haven't seen the inside of a pub for, like, 6 months. I was just watching some TV with Jenna, and she just turned around and went, like, aren't you meant to be streaming? I just looked at my phone and was like, yeah, 15 minutes ago. I was like, shit. Well, it was like last thing. It wasn't even for anything exciting. It was genuine, just like full-on time blindness. It was like it would have been really nice if it was for anything exciting. But to be fair, you know, I've just had the exciting times of like booking trains to fucking Sheffield for the weekend to go see Carl and being like, great, not only am I not allowed a rail card anymore, because if you're between the ages of like 31 and 65, you don't need discounts on trains. It also cost me like 50 quid, and there's going to be massive delays in rail replacement buses and shit. And I've still got to pay full price. Fantastic. Like, I don't have the money to go to the pub when, like, I'm getting bent over that hard for just a fucking train to Sheffield to go see my mates for the day. It's so bad, and it's so expensive. It's like, okay, so it's going to take nearly twice as long as it normally does. Because of, like, engineering and, like, you know, planned works, which is fine. But the trains are going to be more expensive, and just because, fuck you, you're not allowed a rail card to get discounts anymore. If anything, my financials have gotten worse since I stopped being 30, but I'm not allowed to have a rail card anymore because I guess when you hit 30, you don't need to get discounted trains anymore. Like, you just... Every 30-year-old doesn't need cheap things anymore. That's how it works, right? It's just like, the world can go fuck itself. It's like, you know, we're at very early stages of looking to buy a house, and it's like, okay, so what happens if we move, like, a decent amount away? Like, say if we move to, like, more north, or even Scotland. It can't be that much money to, like, you know, come back and visit family and stuff, though, right? Like, it can't take that long or be that expensive. It's, oh, it'd be cheaper to just, like, start going to airports and flying into Europe. That'd be great. Yeah, no discounts, nothing, just, yeah, just pure fucking work. You are just the cog in the machine now. Like, you do not need help from society anymore. You are 30. It's like, but I'm a 30-year-old who doesn't have his shit together. What about me? They'll fuck yourself. But I do like all of these characters in the game, of like all of the people in Skyward Sword genuinely have like a lot of personality, and I think in terms of why Skyward Sword probably got really high ratings at the time is like really clever dungeon design, very annoying fee, but also just a ton of personality and actual, like, one of the first older games to give more of a shit about the story. And as much as on replays that does slow the game down, Like, but realistically, a lot of Zelda fans have been complaining for a long time of, like, a lack of story, and the same thing happened when, you know, we went into the realms of, like, Breath of the Wild, and people were like, there's not enough focus on story. It's like, okay, I prefer that personally, but it does... I can't sell you a potion if you don't have an empty bottle. Okay, I'll spare you an empty bottle. Again, the most useful fucking valuable items in all of Hyrule's glass bottles. I wouldn't like to buy anything. I'm going to walk away now. Thank you. But yeah, it's, for me, it's one of those things of, as I've gotten older, I've cared less and less about, like, storytelling, quotes unquote, in games. Obviously, Carl and I have been playing through the Mass Effect trilogy, and if it's done well, I really do give a shit. Okay, so we need to do the first dungeon before we then can activate Beedle's ship. But it's like, yeah, when it's done well, I do really give a shit about story and lore and world building and characters and stuff, but I think over time I have less and less patience for games that don't do it very well. Is what I'll say. Is like, I'm really enjoying the parts of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, for example, that actually do tell a story and have, like, cutscenes and good dialogue and stuff, but there are also massive chunks of that game where it's just, we're gonna give you story tidbits through, like, really boring NPCs. Yeah, no worries, Alex. Thank you for popping your head in. Thank you for joining in for a bit. Yeah, just like, you know, one of those of, well, the story bits where they actually have cutscenes and good character moments and stuff, I'm all in on. And I enjoy spending time with that party, but when it's random NPC has a boring story, I'm just like, I don't really care, I don't want to listen to this. It's so funny that you can press ZR to open the sailcloth, but you never need to press it. It's kind of crazy that we went from one game being just, there's a sailcloth that does break your fall, but you never even need to press yourself, to that becoming the paraglider in Breath of the Wild. And I say one game, there was Link Between Worlds between this and Breath of the Wild. However, like, you know, in terms of 3D mainline Zelda games, not the 2D ones. Not that Link Between Worlds wasn't a mainline game in my eyes, just in terms of the 3D games, we went from sailcloth that isn't even really an active item to the paraglider, which you could do all sorts of, like, crazy shit with in Breath of the Wild and have so much freedom. It is kind of insane, the jump we got of... I think they heard the feedback, I think, pretty well when it comes to Skyward, sort of. Look, we did enjoy the dungeons. They were cool. But, like, the Zelda formula needs to change. And something pretty drastic needs to happen before this starts getting just really just rather boring and predictable. And obviously you get the revisionist history of people being like, oh, actually, Breath of the Wild came out and I missed the old Zelda games. It's like, yeah, sure, but when Skyward Sword came out, most of the fans were complaining that it's just the same Zelda formula and then it needs to massively change it up. And I think you see the complete flip of really cutscene heavy, story focused, mostly linear game, to then getting the feedback of like, look, back the fuck off. Zelda games really need to be shaken up, and then Breath of the Wild happens next, in terms of the 3D games at least. And even Link Between Worlds was like, we'll use the world of Link to the Past, but use that world and design to really shake things up in terms of how we're gonna just give you items straight out the bat and stuff. And I hope the audio is okay for people. That's like a good level for me in my headphones. But hopefully people are hearing the game well enough and it's not too loud over me or whatever. Right, and I do remember that in Skyward Sword there's no... I think there's rupees that you can get. Yeah, you can't run and cut at the same time. But there is... Oh, you can get hearts, okay. Maybe there's a difficulty mode where it doesn't allow you to get hearts or something like that. Young one. Like, could you not have just spelled that? I get that they're trying to, like, mimic voice acting within, like, the use of text, of just trying to play it slower, but, like, yes. Young one. Raise the sword of the goddess Skyward. Take aim at the evil aura and unleash its power. This seems like a bad idea, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, just the giant hole in the ground with a big symbol on it and a big, like, massive, prestigious-looking chunk of stone that's just sealed something into the ground. So Zelda's aura is nearby. Oh god. Let's explain dowsing. I forgot about that. I did and didn't forget about the dowsing, but dowsing may be one of those things where just... It may be one of the worst and most notorious parts of this game that just slows everything down, including Fee just coming out constantly being like, I think you should do some dowsing. It's like, great. The nearer you are to an object emitting the aura in question, the stronger the response will be. The response manifests itself through vibration and sound. The direction the object emitting the aura is indicated by the purple pointy that you see. So, essentially, it's similar to Twilight Princess, where every now and then you would just get a new scent. And you just have to kind of be like, okay, I guess the scent is like in that general area. And I think in this game, if you know what you're doing, you can kind of just ignore the dowsing. Apart from the occasional cutscene of me telling you to use it, or learning a new douse, like aura. I think once you've got the new aura, you don't necessarily have to use the dowsing if you know where to go. Let's head inside and totally find Zelda immediately, and that'll be the game done. Very nice of it. Bird statue save. So this is where the Skyward Sword amiibo that we do have comes into play. I think you can save and quit and head back to Skyward quite easily or something like that. Can't remember the exact specifics. But basically, it really isn't as easy as it should be to get from the sky to the surface and back. Whereas the amiibo just lets you basically head back up and then teleport back to where you were. Almost like it allows fast travel, which the game normally doesn't. Like, I think there is some level of fast travel, but not fully. I do have a feeling that it's like when you return to the sky, then you have to restart back at one of the like drop zones, so you'd go back to the start of the area or something. So the old one. I've sat here for many years waiting for you to arrive. All so I could fulfill my purpose as your guide. Stand under the roof of the sealed temple, a place built by the goddess an eternity ago. Your arrival here was predestined many, many years ago, and the spirit maiden you seek arrived shortly here before you, descending to this land in a shower of light. No doubting it, the gears of fate have begun to turn. So, not all is as it should be. The Spirit Maiden was not meant to reach this land in the manner she did. I feel an evil power working in the shadows. It moves to warp the destiny of which you two are a part. We are concerned for the Spirit Maiden. Seek her whereabouts, yes. Of course we do. And now you must focus on moving forward. That girl has her own purpose that she must pursue as you do. It's now of the Farron Woods to discover that destiny for herself, and you follow. Show me your map. So, is it... Look, Link, you've got to go do your own thing, which is to go the exact same way that I just sent Zelda. Give you the power to create beacons. When a beacon is marked on your lap, blah, 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 blah. So let's just place a beacon. Again, just pretty standard stuff of, like, a beacon is just there so that I think we can just, like, see it in real time rather than keep looking back at your map over and over again. You save travel? Know that all the questions you have now will be answered in time. For now, Link, go bravely. And I wonder if we can get a little bit of a glance in. Or is some kind of, like, big crystal trapped in vines or something there? We can't quite see what is behind it. The fact that the sword is on the right stick is like, oh, we got a fully replenishes your shield gauge and also 4 hearts. So, fact that we missed out on the fairy, not too bad then. Alright, but yeah, the fact that the right stick is relegated to the sword movement, and then you have to hold like the L, I guess, like, you know, L1, LB button, depending on what console you're familiar with, but like, but you have to control, like, hold the left bumper to then use the right stick for camera controls is really jarring. And just remember, everyone, in Skyward Sword Regular, because I had pressed save and quit, when I picked up every rupee, bug, crafting material, when I picked up that 1 rupee, because I've saved, quit, and come back to the game, it would have done another cutscene of picking up a rupee and explaining what a rupee is. Of like, congrats, you picked up a green rupee. A green rupee is 1 rupee. Like, not too shabby or whatever it says. Every time you save and quit and pick up a green rupee again, it would show you that. And that applies to every type of rupee, every type of crafting item, every type of bug. Every time you save and quit, it treats it as if you've never picked one up before. And that is something this version of the game did change and fix. But doesn't that sound like just so much fun? Just every single time you pick the game back up, it's been like, in case you forgot what 1 rupee is, here's a cutscene to explain it all again for you. Or not a cutscene, but like, you know, a disruption to the game and a dialogue box re-explaining it. I'm Gorko the Goron, researching the ancient history of these woods here. According to the ancient text, there is some kind of place up above called the Isle of the Goddess, far up in the sky. Apparently, these old statues serve as landmarks for those travelling up to the sky or down from the Isle of the Goddess place. If you find one, be sure to examine it. Keep tabs on the number of landmarks, they are rumoured to be quite useful. It has the ability to activate all other statues. This whole thing sounds crazy, but blah blah blah. You want to know more? No. We don't need to know more. It's okay, Gorko. Did we use some kind of magic? It's like, maybe we just have a magical goddess sword, it's fine. Don't worry about it. So there you go. You can go back up to the sky, but I believe that means that either you have to go straight back to the start of an area, or that you can go strictly back to the sky statues. But either way, like, the fact that you can't just be like, let's go back up and return to where we were, kind of annoying. It's like, it's not the biggest problem necessarily, but just a lack of quality of life. And then that just gives you access back to... Because I think that's why you have this little shortcut, is that it brings you to the start of the area. And that's a shortcut that you unlock to just be like, fuck it. Push that down, you've got an easy way back up to this place. By using a certain amiibo figure that you can buy for $19.99 RRP, you can return to the sky from anywhere on the surface and come back to where you left. Literally paying for convenience. Which, admittedly, we do have, and maybe we should pull out at some point. But, you know, I don't need it right now. But it might be worth just, like, leaving on my desk for future use. To just... I didn't buy it for that purpose, I just like collecting all the Zelda amiibo, but if we're streaming this game, it might just make our lives a little bit easier. Also, while I remember, I'm going to swap back my Joy-Con, swap them over, because apparently I've got low battery, because I haven't charged these in a while. So we're just going to change that back. We're going to go from my Zelda Joy-Con to my Zelda Joy-Con. Again, it's just one of those things of like, I've stupidly bought all these Zelda things and got them sitting around my house. I might as well like utilize some of this poorly spent money for streaming purposes. And what I will say, it is up-resed, but just the fact that this game is an up-res 2011, like, HD port, like, they didn't really do that much to fully remaster it graphically or anything. It's mostly just upscaled. It's not, like, completely redone textures and stuff like that. It's like, just, they cleaned it up, they made it HD. They made it not so fucking blurry looking. And the art style holds up so well. Like, this looks really good for just an upscaled, like, 2011 Wii game. Like, again, just the power of the art style over just going for graphics. It's like, you think about like what other games were coming out on what like the latter 360 days, like even the bigger budget ones. Like compare this to maybe like well, like a Halo 4 or something. I would argue that this looks a lot nicer than something like that, which doesn't particularly look bad. And again, I'm trying to pick one of the better examples of a game from that time period, but I just think this looks a lot just smoother and cleaner and easy to read. It's the same discussion we had with like the Wind Waker thing of just those clear cel-shaded graphics. Just they did a lot more work to Wind Waker HD and put it in a brand new engine and stuff. Ignore too quick for it. Didn't go get that. These, admittedly, the first time they appear in a Zelda game, an adorable new race that they introduced. I get a little bit annoying as time goes on, but matchy. It's the little, I think they're called Kukuis. Wiku. No, there's even a green one. I didn't even know they came in green. Do we not look a little bit different than Bokoblins to you? We've got, like, full pants, tunic, boots, gloves, chainmail, hat, sword and shield. And apparently we're just a green Bokoblin. I can't remember for the life of me how to do a roll now. I think we had to shake one of the Joy-Cons while we were sprinting or something dumb like that. But they are pretty adorable. This little matchy. And just, yeah. I'm not going to keep saving every statue. It doesn't look like I need to. Spooked it a little bit. I think this is another one where it's just going to be like, look, it keeps running away, just use some dowsing and figure it out. Can't remember whether we're meant to hit the mushrooms to scare it or that's a bad thing. How do we find Matt? Now, it definitely ran off in that direction, but there doesn't seem to be anything over there, so... here it is. I know I've been slashing in your general direction with the sword, but I'm not here to harm you. What an adorably shit defense mechanism of just... I'm clearly not a bush, but I guess if, like, it was in the middle of a bunch of bushes and you didn't see it do that, it would work a little bit better. A Kikwi. Yeah, because it's like Kiwi, but like Kikwi. Even though you're scary, thanks for helping me. You're welcome, Machi. That's true. No one said it was competent at all. It's just... It's a defense mechanism. It might not be a good one, but it's one. There's another funny animal like you, but that one was a girl. How do you know? How are you aware of the sex or gender of Zelda or Link as they are passing by? Maybe that little sharp nose can sniff it out. What's a Zelda? I don't know who this girl was, but she was in a bunch of trouble when I saw her. Okay, so she was attacked by a bunch of goblins, but the Kikwi Elder saved her. Yeah, I'd also shit myself, I'm not gonna lie. Just, holy fuck, an entire new floating human robot thing came out of your sword. What the fuck? This Kikui most likely produces a false positive dowsing reaction due to the previous direct contact with Zelda. It's like, this is where just Fee is just not very, like, personable. Using this hypothesis, I theorize there is an 85% chance that the Kikui Elder will also generate a dowsing reaction for the same reason. They really tried their best to just make it sound robotic as fuck, of just like, I need to do analyzing and give you statistics all the time, and probabilities. This is why Midna is just a massive jump up in terms of personality compared to Fee. There are some elements to Fee that I really like, kind of the musical stuff that we'll see later in the game, and the design is cool. Hey Shadow, Twitch just alerted you. Like, good old Twitch. I mean, to be fair, I was also a full just hour late today. So Twitch is late on top of me being late. All that you've really missed is we got down to the lands below. And we have just met this little new race that we've never met in a Zelda game before, called a Kikui. This one's called Machi. And basically just told us that, yeah, Zelda has been rescued by the Kikui Elder. I mean, you need to try and, like, find that. That is true. I don't know what like random place in Birmingham you've seemingly written your phone number in. Like, did you just write it on like a dodgy club wall or something one time? Because I've heard that you mentioned multiple times that you've gotten like calls off weird people. It's like, what have you done, Shadow? And that was a joke. I of course don't expect that you actually have done. But it's always when I see stuff like that, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely just some absolute creep, but right, okay, so something like that did actually occur at some point, but yeah. It's just, I do wonder when you see like phone numbers written on the walls of like dirty, dank cubicles in nightclubs or like dingy bars and stuff. I'm like, what interactions are you expecting to get from this? And yeah, I suppose maybe a lot of the time it is someone writing somebody else's phone number. But also, yeah, Ross, like, yeah, this is the only time that we've ever met Kikuis, which, yeah, just essentially does imply that, like, we are literally by, like, not far from Lake Hylia right now. It does just straight up imply, yeah, that defense mechanism of hiding as a pretend bush, yeah, that isn't very useful and actually got themselves killed. It's just such a pain in the ass to get a new number. Because, like, no one gets new numbers anymore. Like, the last time I changed my number was, like, 10 years ago, and I think there's still probably people that I give a shit about that probably have my number from 10 years ago. So we need to get... Oh wait, we found a secondary bottle. I thought that was just filling our empty bottle with Ah. Oh. Don't equip my shield. I would hope that one went to fucking prosecute. Jesus. I think the worst I had was, I can't remember what they're called, but, like, I remember in halls, my roommates always used to, like, oh, shit. Hang on. I don't remember. How does one use the shield? Or click the left stick in, of course. The off-brand piranha plant. Hey, that is a Deku Baba. Nintendo are allowed to rip off themselves. But yeah, like, I can't remember what those, like, not, yeah, the TV channels were, where it was like, people would put up like a picture and a phone number and be like, oh hey, like, I'm this person of this age and here's my number, like, hook me up. And my roommates in halls always used to watch those while pre-drinking. And they one time, like, as a joke, took a picture of, like, a bad picture of me while I was, like, dyeing my hair. And put that up on one of the, like, those TV shows, but for, like, gay people, because they were trying to, like, make fun of me for being gay, even though I'm not gay. And they were, like, as in, they were just straight up knobheads. I did not get on with them. And they were, oh, it's so funny, isn't it? Putting, like, your phone number online to gay guys, like... And with such a shitty photo, I was like, thanks. Thanks for just being cunts. Awful people. Truly awful people, all of them. But yeah, that's the closest I've had, I guess, to, like, being doxxed by somebody as, like, a joke or whatever. That's my equivalent to having, like, a phone number written on the nightclub wall. It's like, it's one thing to be like, hey, we put a dumb photo of you online, but when that dumb photo of you online is like, hey, we are going to give out your full name, phone number, tell people where you live, and tell people that you're interested in, like, random hookups, that crosses a fucking line. Yeah, just people who think that that's a good idea, just don't associate with people like that. Just a good, like, rule of thumb in life. Oh, dear. It's one of those things that I can, like, laugh at now because I've gotten over it. I was extremely annoyed at the time, but, like, I can, like, you know, think about it and go, like, well, nothing truly horrific came of it. I'm still very annoyed at those people, and in retrospect, looking back, that should have been a massive red flag of how bad they were going to get. Because this was in, like, months. Within literal months of me knowing them as people. Again, just, like, random people that, you know, lived in halls with that I'd never known before. It was just that classic, like, we're going to match you up with a bunch of random people in the same uni as you. Oh, wait. Okay. I was like, why is this bush not cutting? Ooh, yeah. Again, there's probably a reason why this race is never seen again. Of just... It's implied that maybe they became, like, the Koroks or the Kokiri. But it certainly explains itself that the current form that they are in, they had to evolve or die, is what happened to the Kikui. It's just... Oh, they got really good at hiding, yeah. Like, they're still in every game, we just don't know it. It's trying to find the link. Would you tell him more? Be the elder. Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of Skyward Sword is kind of built in a very Metroidvania-esque way. Of, like, you'll notice that there was a bombable wall. Like, maybe you'll notice that there was a bombable wall just there a minute ago. But it's a little while before you get bombs, and there's a lot of just... There's 3 distinct zones, each which have... I think all 3 of them have a secondary unlockable area, so there's essentially 6 zones, but they're all split into... There's, like, 3 big areas of, like, Lanayru, Eldin, and Gerudo, maybe. And all of those, like, beginners, the first 3 areas, and then they expand those areas. But yes, it's like, each one of those is very much designed with coming back, unlocking shortcuts, getting new items to come back with and stuff. Yeah, no worries, Shadow. Thank you for popping in and saying hello. But, also, hi. Hi, Slayer. Thank you for joining. Trying to figure out where this good old... I don't know why Cade only appeared for like 0.1 second then on my screen. Just... That was very weird. Maybe that alert box needs changing just a little bit. Ah, that's it. Yes. Okay, so we come this way, cut the rope, and use that as a swing to get across, and then the Elder, I think, gives us the slingshot to start unlocking new parts of this area. Like, you're really telling me that this is the Elder? This thing has managed to survive as long as it did when it thinks that this is a good hiding mechanism. Like, really? This thing has managed to survive long enough to become the Elder. Unless the Elder's like 3 months old and it's the only one left alive that's the eldest. Shit. Well, thank you, Crypto, for raiding. Hell yeah. Bringing the hype in. Just in time for us to see, like, this good old big Elder. It's like, he's old enough to grow a moustache. Which means that it's implied that it's old enough to, like, you know, hit puberty and not die immediately. It's just, I can't get over how bad these are at hiding or defending themselves. In a wood just, yeah, full of monsters. Well, thank you, Cody. Met some of my people. Machi and Ulu are safe. It's like, safe is a relative term. There's no monster immediately about to kill them. Right, okay, yes. A glorious moustache. Like we just put out a shot earlier of like, oh yeah, like Viltrumites are all called, they all have a mustache because like Viltrum is literally named after like that's like not trying to put my middle finger up at people and flip the bird there. It's like that part is apparently like your Viltrum, and that's why male Viltrumites in Invincible all have mustaches because they're literally named like mustache men, basically. And it's just like, man, the mustache. Like, this Kikui would be such a strong Viltrumite. Just a pure sign of strength. It's like that. Just a mustache the size of Link. No, we got it. We got it. Don't explain to us again, Fee. No. It's like when you get that point with the owl in Ocarina of Time, where the default option when you scroll through all the text is like, not would you like, did you get that? And you press yes. It's like, oh, would you like me to explain that all again? And you default mash through the yes. It's like, oh no. Same with the when you mash A for the Pokemon centers in Pokemon instead of mashing B. The secret tech was always to mash B to cancel out, and if you mash A, you just get caught in the loop. Oh, hello, hello, hello. Give me that scoop. Oh, I hate the way that this works. It's painful, yeah. It's like, not too bad in some games where they let you just skip through the text, but when it's like individually button pressing through each one, it's like, oh no. It is kind of weird that I guess it must be from like, you know, either a movie or multiple movies making it the stereotype, I believe, of just like the old wise man mustache. But it's crazy to me that specifically just having a really overgrown mustache and zero beard and zero other facial hair like that, specifically like the look of a wise man. Like, is it wise to not groom properly? Like, I don't understand. And you know, you can groom mustache as well, but generally it's just like, it looks like they just shave their beard and never trim their mustache or groom it or anything. Yeah, there are some games that just make it just horrendous to get through text speech, and then it's like default to just, do you want to replay all that explanation? Like, no. No. That's true. The wiseness of just not getting crumbs all up in that mustache. Yeah, because I guess, like, even the kind of... even, like, the default for, say, for example, like, Vikings with big beards and stuff is to, at very least, you know, have some kind of, like, grooming and shape and probably braiding and stuff like that, right? Fair, yeah. Yeah, the only two I have is like this little bit here and this little bit here, which is very common to not generally have hair on, but yeah, it's pretty full beard otherwise. But like, I still remember that one time when one of my friends was like, "Oh, so how do you shave these little bits there?" I was like, "I don't. That's just the shape of most people's beards." I was like, men don't shave these spots into their beards. I just thought like every man shaved those little bits for some reason. I thought it was just like a you know, culture thing. I thought it was a fashion thing. It was like, no, generally if men can grow hair there, they just keep it there. Oh, no, to be fair, they were female. So, it was like, you know, I was about 20 at the time. Well, we were both about 20 at the time. And she was a woman, so it does make it more excusable. But just the fact she just assumed that every man just shaves like these little bits, and it's some kind of like common code that we all have, more than just the easier explanation of maybe it just doesn't grow there. Which wanted to update midstream. You gotta love it. I don't... How the fuck am I meant to get... Down. Yes, exactly, and that is the weird thing, right? Of just... Okay, but if no one had even told... Like, you know... It's all... Yeah, that they've never grown facial hair, and no one's ever explained to you why men's beards look the way they do, and I guess it's one of those of just... It's as easy an explanation to someone that doesn't have experience with it that I guess people just shave that area than the other easy explanation of I guess it just doesn't grow there. The modern man secret handshake, and the fact that they, you know, the fact that they bought that it just doesn't grow there, right? And that we all just don't shave there. I can't believe they fell for that. Just... There's two easy explanations that your brain can jump to, and they just happen to jump to the wrong side of the conclusion. But it was just very funny to me. I'm like, why this? I think this this bit looks dumb. It would make more sense if hair was there. Like, why would I choose to not have the hair there? Come on. Stop shitting on me. The bird just shat on me. And it's depleting my stamina. What the... The bird actually just fucking shits on you. Fuck this little bird. And it took me a minute of being like, it looks like it's just pooped on me. No, it just shits on your shoulder. And depletes your stamina for it. I guess I'd be ready to just give up if I was fighting a bird and it just flew past and shit on me. Oh dear, dear. At that point you would just give up, I think. I think it's like, it's pretty... Just like... I'd say it's pretty common. It's at very least, if not bird behaviour, it's fucking seagull behaviour. There are many birds that just like to leave themselves to themselves, whereas like... Seagulls truly are just the savages, the brutes. Where's this other Kiwi at? Oh, right there. I still will always tell that just tale of when I was working at a restaurant and I got sent outside to go clean up the plates. And just a seagull was on one of the plates. And just like the seagull looked at me, just opened up its wingspan and just flapped at me once. As if like, get the fuck away, this is my meal. I was... Yeah. I don't get paid enough to have a fight. A fucking fist fight with a seagull out here. It's like it's earned its chips at this point. This is just like 100% pure stealth mode right here. Truly the masters of hide and seek. It's fine, everyone. Don't worry. There must be no Kiwi here. Just some bushes. Mate. Excuse me. Yeah, I think at this point, You need to call it in. I mean, COVID's are the elites. 100%. I thought I had a good hiding place. You didn't until I quit it all down. The goblins probably would have never found you. Like, that is the genuine thing. It looks very stupid, but if you were just walking past a big bunch of, like, a you know, big massive patch of grass, and one of those kiwis was in there, you probably wouldn't notice them unless they started moving. But we literally have, like, a fucking... We just managed to snipe them down because we have a tracker on them. Pitting it. What do you mean by pitting it? Here we go here. That's the way. Ah, over here, yes. Oh, pitying. I don't. I'm unfamiliar with the term pitting. Like, pitting him against something, maybe, but yeah. We're pitting it. Leaving him up there, like, yeah, it's fine. We don't need that one. The last thing, the bokoblins didn't particularly show much interest in them necessarily. It was just the elders, like, can you go make sure my dudes are safe before we continue with this conversation? He's being a good elder. Look at that mustache. Being a wise dude. Before I help you out, please just tell me that all of my little pretty useless little hidden ninjas of the field are all safe. And they want me to stop worrying. They know me too well. They probably shouldn't want you to stop worrying because they're really bad at this. And there are bokoblins with, like, fucking massive machetes out there. Oh, that was a proper One Piece. Like, that sounded like a Brook laugh right there. Like the yo ho 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 ho. Cute, cute. Oh, I need to remember to hydrate. The clever little thing vaulted off my belly and ran off on their own just the same. They don't have mustaches. They don't. They just have little spiky noses and poor disguises. I think she headed towards the temple. Be sure to take care of you. Follow her. The earlier risk crawling with monsters. A precious Kikwi heirloom. And this is a bit weird. It's just like, that's the question. Was he specifically storing a slingshot with ammo pack in his little disguise pouch? And it's just that? Or do they have some sort of secret mechanism where they can, like, have they got a little pouch inside of their body and they, you know, request they can, like, push an item out? Have they got, like, a secret pocket that we don't know about? Yes, I guess, was this person anticipating the only thing I'll need out here is a slingshot? Or do they have some internal weird backpack shenanigans going on? And they can squeeze them out of the pouch? Because I like to think the latter. It makes things more interesting. think we can just swim over there, right? Yeah, because you unlock actual, like, underwater swimming at some point in the game. You're always able to just tread water, basically. Doggy paddle. Well, not quite doggy paddle, but breaststroke. Slow breaststroke. God damn it. That's it. As much as it's very convenient that now you can, like, do the quick swipes. Or just... Like, that's a lot quicker than you could attack when you were... physically had to swing your arm that many times. But just... Even when you can do those super quick attacks that the game never... You know, wasn't designed around necessarily. You still normally get blocked by even the basic bokoblins before you can get a kill in. Okay, so we saved just before the temple, and then, yeah, we can just go straight into temple number 1. And obviously this one is the, like, first temple. I was about to say dungeon again, but I think they strayed away from the term dungeon after a little while. I wonder why. And they started using temples. But I do believe at some point they used to call, like, some of them temples and some of them dungeons, but then it's just, they're all just temples. Oh, there we go. But yeah, I think as much as this is a bit more of a... Oh, okay, yeah, it's into a secondary area with the temple in it. That's right, yeah. I remember. The deep... It's not particularly long before we'll get into the temple, but... yeah, they kind of... I think that the explanation for how they wanted to design this one was that they want... Oh, shit. Oh, the bees are in! Oh, do not like bees. Fuck off. Get off. Just the fucking bees. The bees are great because you can send bees at other enemies. Just the immediate when we like the first moment we get into battle, the bees are already in. We don't even have. This was a wasted opportunity. Look at that! Like the bees are dodging the swings. They literally can dodge your attacks. Do we need like a scoop or something to scoop these up? Never remember we actually acquire the like lava as crafting materials. The bee lava is always one of those that I'm really far behind on in terms of when you have crafting materials that you need. Run. If we're far away enough, maybe they won't notice us. But yeah, as I was saying, like the temples are definitely, I think, the strong suit of this game, and the game was kind of designed with the idea that, oh well, even the areas before the temples would be kind of push them off, kind of be like incorporated into making the entire build up to the temple also feel like its own kind of mini temple puzzle kind of thing. Of the entire game is one big puzzle temple design, and I don't necessarily think that pays off very well in terms of the build up to the temples for the most part. I think a lot of it just feels a little bit slow and maybe unnecessary, a bit hand-holdy, but it definitely does help with like the actual temple design itself is really good in this game, I think. Like, more so than most. I think it's very clever, and obviously this first one will be quite simple, but they definitely make it a lot more complicated than like the Deku tree in Ocarina of Time. They put a lot more effort into making each of them feel like pretty tough and unique in their own way, which is probably why so many people had a bit of like a mini hissy fit when Breath of the Wild came out and the dungeons weren't really the big focus, because it's like we just had like genuinely really pretty good dungeons in Skyward Sword, and maybe that's one of the few areas that even people were fed up with the formula still kind of wanted cool dungeons and temples like that. And I'm fine with the way that they were in Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild. But I don't necessarily disagree that it would have been nice to have dungeons as good as the ones in Skyward Sword. But I will take the trade-off of I prefer both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom to Skyward Sword. I will take the trade-off of what we got if the sacrifice is the temples aren't quite as good. It's like, if I have to pick one or the other, if we have to pick our priorities, I will take the strength of Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild over the strengths of this and Twilight Princess. And then these ones, these Deku Babas are the ones that can change which way they're facing. There we go. If you just smack them hard enough, they'll change their mind. Oh god, I'm trying to like... Before we talk to Gorko, just get rid of this cube anyway. We don't have the range. There we go. So these are just every time you hit a Goddess cube, which you need to use a Skyward Strike on, hit the cube, and they just become, I think all of them just become a chest within the overworld in the sky. Get you like heart pieces or nice amount of rupees or something like that. I think they all just become chests. They might become other kinds of secrets unlockables, but I think they are just all just chests that you can find as extra secrets and collectibles and stuff. But obviously Gorko the Goron's like, what the fuck are these cubes? I'm examining this thing, it looks really weird, and I don't know what this is, and Link just rocks up and breaks his brain by sending it into the sky. The door is shield shut. Right, unshield this shut. He who descended from above looked to the star that the bird rising heavenward gazes upon and aim your shot there. So there is a slingshot target behind the main entrance, right? Oh, above the doorway. Got it. Just simple as. But we were just paying... Well, I was at least. Maybe not chat, but I was paying attention to the door itself. Easy to miss, apparently. I always like this cutscene. Of just all you've been told so far is, yeah, this shit's full of monsters, and Zelda's gone to basically her doom. And it's showing that sign of courage of Link. Of just, you're greeted with the complete unknown darkness that you've been told shit's gonna go down, and Link is just determined and courageous. Doesn't hesitate, just goes straight in. It is the classic Game of Blunder, right? It's meant to be like the determined look, but it is also like the, you know, determined, angry Link, like, I'm gonna fucking do this. We won't be able to use dowsing in the temple to find out where Zelda is, that's fine. But yeah, that is one of the most classic gamer things of all time. Of just, yeah, it's really hard to get gamers to look up. And it's like, there are so many stories you hear of, like, people talking about, like, when we have playtesters, is really fucking tough to just convince a player to look up without just straight up telling them, please fucking look up. And it's exactly why the thing that people always complain about nowadays, they don't like all this yellow paint. It's like, well, guess what? I was playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth the other day, and the moment there wasn't yellow paint, I really fucking struggled to find my way up this weird tree thing. And I was stuck going back and forth in that fucking cavern for like a good few minutes. Just being frustrated because the game is basically linear, and I just, in that moment, couldn't figure out how to get up. And I was just running in circles, getting very annoyed because the way up just blended into the fucking environment like it was nothing. Absolutely sure. You just go fuck yourself. You know what? Screw you. We don't need to go up there. We know how to fight you. Just fucking camping up there. So while this was a very annoying puzzle in terms of the motion control of it all and getting it to work properly, very clever puzzle. Well, you don't shoot the eye. What you do is the eye is tracking your sword, and you're meant to be like, and get it to go in perfect circles so the eye gets dizzy and falls off. But doing it with the Wii motion controls where it wasn't very accurate, that sometimes got really annoying because there's a repeated puzzle. And I remember that puzzle so well. Nowadays, I just walk into the room and go, I know what this puzzle is. Because of like how fucking annoying it got with the motion controls sometimes. Like, because that's the thing is, I was tempted for the sake of, like, you know, making my life more insufferable, but making it, I guess, more stupid for chat to watch, just to say to myself, maybe I'll just do the stream with motion controls. And it's like, okay, but I am this far, like, I can't even show you, but this is how far my arm can go forward. Like, this is it fully extended. It goes back to, like, here before I'm hitting my mic arm. And also, beneath that, even slightly closer to me, is my desk. So the moment I want to start, like, unless I hold my arm up here the entire stream, away from everything, and on camera do this, A, you're not going to really know that I'm doing it. I'm just going to kind of be like, you're not going to see me doing it. And B, I'm just going to hit everything. And it's like, maybe if I do a replay of the game in the future, I can figure out, like, a stand-up desk setup. And all that jazz, but that requires a lot more time and investment than it was probably worth, and B, just we decided we were playing like Skyward Sword last week about like 2 hours before we started playing it, so I didn't even have the time to think about that. But maybe that can be like a future you know, stream incentive or like way to replay the game in a funny way or something. But even just swinging my arms a few times, then I'm like, oh, that's just, it's just annoying and tiring. And having to do that for just big chunks of time. It's not necessarily like, you know, a cross I'm not willing to bear. But it's just, it's like, how much does it actually add to the stream? Oh god. How much does it add? to just Link getting trapped inside of these big old Skulltula webs. I do like these Skulltulas because in a lot of other Zelda games, it's very passive. You sit and you wait for the Skulltula to turn, and then you just stab it. Whereas this is like, oh well, if you attack it vertically, it just swings back and forth. If you stab at it, it just swings back and forth. But if you swipe at it horizontally, that spins it around. Again, just makes a lot of logical sense to how to fight that enemy. And I do like the, you know, obviously, it would have been silly if they didn't put that thought into the redesign of these characters as you are, or redesign of enemies as you are playing in a totally new way. But I think that's just a really nice solution to keep it like Skulltulas that you know and love, but also redesign it for the motion controls. So the two rooms to the left and right, one will open. They will only open when the gemstones struck. One is above, one is below. So this is the room where we struck above, so that's just telling you the other gemstone to open the other side is down below the door, not above the door. And again, like, this is first dungeon, fairly simple, pretty easy stuff, but I definitely think that this is a lot more cool and complex and memorable than a lot of the other first dungeons in Zelda games. And I use the word dungeon and temple, as I say, like, interchangeably, basically. But, like, Deku Tree, for example. Very memorable inside the Deku Tree. Very cool design, but damn easy. I think the only real part that gives some people trouble, especially, you know, if they don't know the gimmick, is the idea of, well, you can jump onto the net from above, and that breaks the net through. And that, I think, is, like, a really cool early, just, way to make people realize how much this game is, like, no, fuck it, this game is, like, 3D now. Yeah, I always preferred when Link is, like, lifting the doors as opposed to, I don't know how to deal with this one. Do we get behind it? Yes, we do, yeah. I always like it when Link lifts the doors and not just, like, I think in Twilight Princess, that he just pushes the door and they roll out. I much prefer when Link's, fuck it, I've got to lift these fucking doors. I think you can cut it loose from the web and it can get a chance to come and attack you. But if you do it that way, it's just doomed. And whatever this does, just raise the water level. Not by much. I can make that jump, right? I don't have to go back. Be alright. Yeah, there we go. And we can just go. We'll be fine. Make that, yeah. Fuck you. You can't chase us. What are you gonna do about it? Like, the Deku Baba pops up like, yeah, you ain't getting past. Just walk past it. Like, it literally, it cannot do anything about the situation. It can't chase us. We got the dungeon map. And that's one thing that playing through the, oh, that's satisfying. Just like, you know, the, every now and then, it gets really satisfying to, like, scratch where I've got, like, you know, the plug on me. And for some reason, just every now and then, that really gets itchy. Don't worry, it's not infected. It is years old at this point. So it had a little thing here somewhere. Get the dungeon map. The hidden by here. Okay, so presumably that's maybe we need to send the beetle through there. That's a little tiny pathway. Right. How do I get across there? Already hit that one. Maybe if I drop down below. What have we got? Like, what is specifically raising it up this one level done to help us? I mean, it gives us access to this, right? Oh, it doesn't. Link won't do that jump very well. I'm just wondering specifically what this one level of water change has done for us. Doesn't really help us get up anywhere. Because the previous room did that also, like, go backwards and benefit off it. No, it didn't. And just go check out here, which takes us back to the other room. We don't think that's just a shortcut back to where we were from when we exit the dungeon. So yeah, in this game, Link can always do like a little mini like breaststroke swim like you see there, but then later on in the game you do get flippers and you can like do fully 3D swimming, but for now he is just relegated to floating on top of the surface. Okay, so come on. You can even see like how weird the hit recognition is on the sword sometimes with these webs. Link's just going ham, flailing around. That didn't particularly help us get anything in this room. Maybe I did have to kill this Dekubaba. That was... Ooh, okay. God damn. Keep hitting on the head. Eventually it'll change. There we go. Nothing happens if we wipe this room clear, right? Was? No, that was just a weird gap in the rock, but... Okay, so... In a room with 2 glittering gemstones, you should find a temple map. Gaze upon that map until you find it is there. You must strike another gemstone to reveal a path. Okay, so presumably... Gemstone 1 is that one, which means we need to go across the other room. Maybe we can shoot a slingshot pellet through the bars in that other room, but I kind of presume that the bars in front of that gemstone were meant to basically be like, you can't hit this right now. because I saw that gap here. And I thought you send the beetle that you acquire later through that gap. Presumably you do. Yeah, okay. But the beetle isn't acquired until a little bit later. So there's just some one thing I'm missing to go get. It doesn't even tell us. It does tell us what. Way to get up to that room yet, though. So you would think that the gemstone there, then there must be a way to maybe crawl in or something. Almost certain that it's that you need to send the beetle through. But if we haven't got the beetle and we can't send it through... Ah! It was 2 secret entrances. This all starts to click into place now. We're not meant to send the beetle through. That raises the water, and that's the exit, not the entrance. That is sneaky, yeah. Again, though, like, I think very cool in the sense that, like, I think that's probably the hardest I've had to think. And bear in mind, I've completed this game a few times. That's probably the hardest thing I've ever had to think about in, like, a first temple of a Zelda game. And sometimes it can be simple as, you know, we mentioned earlier, just the hardest thing is getting gamers to look up. Maybe the second hardest thing is getting me to look down as well. But when I saw the map, and it's like, well, little entrance there into the big room to hit the gem. And it's, no, that's the exit when you've solved it. And in my head, I was like, well, that's the entrance. Got it. We'll come back later with the beetle and fly it in. So in my brain, it was just a problem solved. We've already figured out. It's a good little twist. But yeah, you can then see here that this is why I remember these puzzles. Is it's definitely not just a one-time deal. But even with the Wii Motion Plus on this game, because this game was mandatory Wii Motion Plus, and one of the 2 games that, like, sold the Wii Motion Plus, quote-unquote, tried to sell the idea of the Wii Motion Plus being, like, this thing that you need to go get. It was like this and Wii Sports Resort were, like, the 2 big games that you could only really, like, play with the Wii Motion Plus, and that were marketed as, like, these are the reasons you should go invest in it. And it was better, but it still was definitely not perfect. Ooh, Red Steel 2 was actually another good one, yeah. Like, Red Steel was, like, sold the Wii, and then Red Steel 2 kind of helped sell the Wii Motion Plus. You are right, yeah. I forgot about Red Steel 2. Actually, a decent game. Decent game, like... It was a very, like, good Wii exclusive, which means that it was, like, probably a solid 8 out of 10 in a time that we were really desperate for Wii exclusive games. So by the time by the time we hit Wii Motion Plus, the Wii was just the shovelware box at that point, and not many people thought of it as like a proper gaming console anymore. It was like, no, it's the Wii Sports, Wii Fit machine that everybody's auntie and granddad owns and shit. Like, we shall eat a potato for Link. I don't know if Link is asking you to eat a potato, but if you want to eat a potato and you happen to do it in the name of Link, I'm sure they wouldn't mind. Link is a good old himbo. I'm sure he enjoys a good potato. Ah, the parry. Excellent. I wasn't sure how much parries were a thing in this game, and just... Well, I tried it, and we got a parry that just absolutely annihilated both of the Stalfos' arms, so... Yes, they are relevant to some degree. Because there is a button to just parry, and obviously the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, like, they are my absolute lord and savior, just the perfect parries in that game. I mean, we are always a fan of people cooking in chat. I mean, it's a potato, right? It's like, one of the things that my partner Jenna was watching the other day was Dairy Girls, which is, you know, a fun show. Give it a show. Give it a recommendation, but like, it's very, very Irish. And I got really shocked when it was like, they were talking about like a pack of taters, like potatoes, taters. And I was expecting them to be talking about a bag of potatoes, but they were actually talking about a packet of crisps. Or like, you know, for Americans watching like chips, like potato chips, potato crisps. Like, when they said taters, they didn't mean potatoes as in like raw potatoes. They meant like taters as in like a packet of salt and vinegar crisps or whatever. Which very, very much threw me, but I found amusing. So yeah, this is the beetle, which is it's a really fun, unique item that is only in Skyward Sword and Smash Bros. It is represented in Smash Bros. And it's hilarious in Smash Bros. Yeah, the little mighty bug, which does get upgrades over time, and you can like give it a little speed boost, and like the horns get boost, like the little claws on it get bettered as well, so it can do more. Oh yes, of course. This is how you get tutorialized on it. It's like you send out the little Beetleborg, and yes, it can cut the spider's web. But then you turn it around and you reopen the door from the outside. Again, like, really just simple but clever thinking of, well, I've got this bug that now flies out of this big open zone. How did I get in? I got in by unlocking the bars by hitting that slingshot target. Like, oh, the bug can go outside and re-hit the slingshot target. And again, really simple but effective, just clever design. And the fact that this is Temple number 1 kind of sets up for how clever this game can be with some of its temple designs. Yeah, just it locks the door in the exact same way that you like had unlocked the door. It, you know, you unlock those bars with that exact same target that you hit with a slingshot. But what if you didn't hit with a slingshot? What if you sent the bug outside and went and used the bug to go reactivate it? Because you would imagine, like, oh, those bars go back down. That means that the target is like deactivated, right? And it's one of those like kind of, you know, like, kind of almost unique things, but very Zelda temple like designs where just there's not many other games that scratch that itch of being put in this big 3D location where you're not necessarily figuring it out room by room. A lot of the time you're figuring it out as a larger space, and not all Zelda games pull it off well, but the better remembered Zelda dungeons do. And it almost gives like an almost like Metroidvania feel to the whole thing. But that's kind of the exact same.
Bang, okay.
Oh fuck yeah, Nostradamus! Thank you. We'll bang, okay. So we certainly will when we hit that sub goal, and hopefully Mass Effect 3 it won't be that. And that sub goal is not updated yet. I'll keep an eye on it. But just like the fact that we've done like Mass Effect 2 all the way through, and then the romance option with Thane was a glitched black screen where we never got to see the bang. Truly, truly a disappointing moment last night. There we go. It just takes a minute to update it. And yeah, that is another thing of like, again, the idea that when the sculptors are swinging, hit them horizontally to flip them. When they are standing on the, like, you know, like this, hit them from bottom up to flip them upside down. And then do finishing blow normally, but we just round it instead. We got that big creepy spider, don't worry. But yeah, just the idea that, like, what, 30, 40 hours of building up crew relationships, deciding who to romance, deciding on Thane, building up your relationship with Thane, doing the suicide mission, and the entire payoff for the romance was, oh hey, Thane, I want you. Thane agrees. Black screen. Glitch happens. Skip romance cutscene. It's like, really, game? Really, really? Okay, we didn't go back through the, I figured we needed. Yeah, don't worry for anyone that's gonna go, like, watch the VOD. We did watch the Thane cutscene, like, you know, just via somebody else's YouTube clip, but the fact that that game lets that happen and is just like something that hasn't been over a year later fixed, of just like, yeah, a lot of the time, just like, quite a lot of people on this forum seem to just be like, yeah, I've also encountered this problem of just like the romance scene becoming a glitch that you never get to watch. Like, but that's meant to be kind of like your entire payoff for your relationship with one certain member of your crew. There's a big moment, like, the moment that's often talked about of like, who do you romance in your Mass Effect games, and that it all just got blooped out by a black screen. Very sad. But yeah, this is a one that I saw a lot of people actually complain about. Back in the day, I remember seeing like a discussion thread of, well, it's impossible because you'll stand in the middle here and you can get these two eyes' attention. It doesn't matter where you stand, the top eye doesn't seem to follow you. And then people never figured, maybe there's another part of this. Maybe there's an actual puzzle in this room. And seemingly people didn't think to check for the puzzle. They just saw the eyes in front of them. And when the eyes aren't responding properly, please help. There's a glitch that can change your sex in Mass Effect? What? Jesus Christ. Was that like a Legendary Edition or just regular Mass Effect 3? Because I'm curious of like how many of them are like legacy glitches, how many of them are new glitches, how many of them are legacy glitches that they just didn't fucking solve. Because obviously when you make a new version of the game and they updated it to like a newer version of Unreal and stuff, like there are unforeseen new glitches that will occur in remasters and ports and stuff. Especially when changing it to a new version of an engine. So it is very curious. Yeah, that's the thing, is like, it's an OG glitch that even when remastering and porting, they didn't solve. And seemingly, from what I could tell from forum posts, that was the same with the romance thing. Like, man, you really just, like, had openly known glitches that just, you kind of just let happen again. And, like, big glitches, right? Like, romance scenes not occurring, and entire shepherd sex changes happening. Like, they're not little, like, audio bugs and stuff that they let get away with. Like, I kind of don't let that slide. I still give them a lot of shit for that when they occur. Because, guess what? You fucking told everyone that these were the definitive editions of this game and that you'd remastered them and done X and Y and Z, and, like, you would assume part of the X, Y, and Z would be fix some of the glaring problems of these games that you're now recharging people to replay. I definitely don't want to act as if I'm letting them get away with it because it's like, oh, but it was only a smaller glitch. It's like, no, but it was a common, often seen, well-known glitch in your old versions of your game. Sort your shit out. But especially when it's things like that. Oh no. I mean, we've got max rupees anyway. You literally thought you went past the rupees, like the wallet's gone, I can't handle it anymore. And one of the fun things with the beetle. I mean, when you pilot it correctly, at least. Just cut it off at its roots. Can't do shit then. We only just hit max. So the rupee count is covered a little bit. But, like, I just noticed as you said it that it just started hitting the like max where it turns green. And you'll I go to, like, here we go. Where are we? So you can see there it's like gone to a max of 300. But it specifically goes like that nice, like, cool bluey greeny color when you hit your max. But I'm never too bothered about rupees when we're playing through these games. Like, maybe there should be a point where I do get bothered, but even A Link Between Worlds where like, it's seemingly a lot more built around the idea of having rupees because you need them to buy the items. We ended that game with 9999 rupees, right? Like, I think like, it's one of those, I know the Zelda series and I know the Zelda games enough where, generally speaking, rupees don't matter that much. And, like, I may end up eating my words when it comes to Skyward Sword in particular. There may be, like, one particular game where I am very much wrong with that, but if you're decent enough about collecting rupees, generally most of the time we've been playing through all these Zelda games, I've just found myself in every single temple or dungeon being like, great, we're at max rupees again. And just being able to, like, collect all these rupees that literally mean nothing because we're at max already has been a repeated feature of much of our playthroughs. It's just great, we are at max and all of these rupees mean fucking nothing. Yeah, and I you know, I agree. I like to be a little loot goblin and just hoard as much as possible. But yeah, during basically every single Zelda playthrough, including Link Between Worlds, where rupees mattered more than ever, even Link Between Worlds, we ended up at max rupees by the end of it, where just we had no reason to get rupees anymore. Hmm. Yeah, those Mass Effect games are very glitchy. Very, very glitchy, but it's wild to me how glitchy the Legendary Edition still was. When it's like, I don't know how many things were new glitches, but there was a lot of glitches that I'd encountered which were, again, smaller stuff that I was like, I encountered all these problems on the original version. Like, why are you charging full price? Admittedly, it's 3 games. Why are you charging full price for, like, these games when you couldn't even be asked to get people to actually, like, fix well-known glitches from previous versions? It just... I don't know the mathematics that are involved in all that shit, and I'm not any director or producer or anything, but as a player, it feels bad knowing that you charge full price for games that didn't make a massive attempt at getting rid of previously easily repeatable glitches. I don't care what the optics are and what the actual maths are. I just know that as a player and as a person that like could have potentially spent like 60, 70 quid on that game, it feels bad. And that's never what you want your that's never the place you want to leave the people who are purchasing your games at. You never want to leave people feeling ripped off. And I can't say that I feel ripped off because at the end of the day, hey, I got it included with EA Access because I waited, but even if I bought out full price, it's like, you're still giving me 3 of the greatest and my favourite games of all time with DLC included in a collection. Like, I'm inevitably going to put up with the shit and not complain. Which is exactly the tightrope that they walk. Of like, well, we know that if we up-res it a bit and remaster a bit of like Mass Effect 1's bad combat, most people aren't going to complain. And that's the exact lane they like to ride. Of like, most people are not going to care enough to say anything and do anything about it. Because they're getting 3 games for the price of 1. And 3 very critically acclaimed games for the price of 1. Here we go. I think this unlocks the piece of heart. But yeah, it is just sad knowing, like, I am encountering glitches from 10 years ago. Well, 14 years ago from Mass Effect 2 standpoint, I guess. Which is like, yeah, I'm paying money to get glitches that are very well known. Of not getting romance scenes in Mass Effect. Like, one of the biggest, most memorable pulls for people to go and play the new games. There we go. You can scare them onto the tightrope before you get onto the tightrope. And then you can just beetle them. Like, what are you gonna do now? What are you gonna do now? Just die. Bear in mind, like, I'm balancing awkwardly with the analog stick. You used to have to do like this with motion controls and everything. Everything, like, every time you see any prompt, it was probably a motion control prompt. And I get that that was the gimmick of the Wii, and that was them trying to sell the Wii Motion Plus. But, like, there's a reason why, after a couple of years, I stopped really replaying this game. Because just everything being motion controls. Turns out, unless it's something really simple, like Wii Sports, which is great for. Wii Sports Resort, I love playing. Beat Saber, I love the fact that that's motion controls with VR, right? But, like, it doesn't work for this kind of game, especially not in longer sessions of playing. This is probably the hardest game in terms of the Zelda series to play long sessions of, just because of the motion controls. And obviously that's changed with the HD version, where it's not all motion, it's like optional. But yeah. I respect the balls of Nintendo to like make entire games like this, like motion based, or with Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, which we've yet to play. Making them all the touchscreen control system and just like completely committing to the gimmick. I respect it, but it doesn't make for a better game. I basically bought a pre-owned PSVR almost entirely for the idea of Beat Saber. I just found someone selling like it, and I already had the. I bought the Move controllers with Iron Man VR for 70. I think it was 60 or 70 quid, because at the time the Move controllers pre-owned were probably about that price, and I was like, I want to get PSVR at some point just to try out a cheap version of VR, see if I can deal with it with my glasses and potential motion sickness and stuff. So I'd spent like the 60-70 quid on that for new Move controllers included with Iron Man VR, rather than spending the exact same amount of money on pre-owned Move controllers that are 10 years old. I was like, this is the only chance I'm going to get like brand new Move controllers that aren't shitty and broken and 10 years old for a decent price. So I got that, and then like a year or so later found someone, you know, just selling on like eBay PSVR with like a couple of games, but I think it was about 100 quid. And was like, fuck it, all in, like less than 200 to get like the Move controllers, the PSVR, Iron Man VR, a couple of extra games, and then just I already had a couple of like PlayStation Plus games of like Moss and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm happy enough with that kind of price commitment at this point. But yeah, for the most part, it's just become like I play Beat Saber on it, and it's just I'll play Beat Saber on PSVR until I can be arsed and things get cheap enough where maybe I go buy a MetaQuest something. I don't know which one, but one of them that is wireless and can play Beat Saber well for cheap enough that then I don't have to be like connected to the PlayStation console to do, and have like the camera and all that jazz, just like completely its own thing. But Beat Saber is one of my favorite games of all time, and the fact that it's like a game where you can get active and encourage a bit of like exercise rather than, you know, sitting in a chair and doing nothing, is always a bit of an extra benefit as well. But Beat Saber is one of the greatest games I've ever played, bearing in mind I am a massive fan of Guitar Hero, Rock Band, rhythm games in general. Put a shit ton of money into investing in a bunch of Rock Band shit. Like, I am fully the Rock Band guy, and still am to this day. So bearing that in mind, is like, to me, Beat Saber is just one of the greatest fucking games I've ever played. And that's with a person who wears glasses, was playing it on a PSVR, which is not ideal, and sometimes get motion sickness, and struggle with that. And still, just like Beat Saber is one of the best things I've ever fucking played in my life. Yeah, I think pretty much all console gimmicks are expensive gimmick. Look at the DualSense, for example. Like the PlayStation controller for the PS3, the PS4, the PS5. Every single time it has a bunch of shit just jammed in there that's used on about 3 games on launch, and barely gets used again past like miscellaneous, and just drains a bunch of battery life out of your controller. And the PS2 controller was basically as good. Like, it's not as good, but it's 80% as good, which for 20 years of innovation is not good. But it's the same with the Wii U can be said as like the Wii U, cool gimmick, Nintendo Land, fantastic. Some of the coolest multiplayer experience I've ever had. Did anyone really use... Did even Nintendo really use the Wii U gamepad for much more than a map or a live inventory that meant you didn't have to go into a menu? Not really. Most games after the first 6 months just didn't utilize any of the fucking gimmicks anymore. And the same with like the Kinect. Is like the Kinect is really impressive in terms of the technical achievement they pulled off with such a cheap piece of machinery. Like, it says a lot that it was utilized more for like science and military equipment than it was for gaming. It was a really good 3D camera that was really impressive, but it just wasn't that great, and it wasn't that well utilized for the games. Yeah, I don't think anyone that wasn't developing Nintendo Land knew what to do with that Wii U gamepad. And it did make for DS ports being possible. So we can play Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks with the touchscreen controls on a Wii U when we play those. So that's one utilization, I guess, is like DS ports were possible because you had the two screens. But anyway, here is Girahim. Oh, I don't know. I'm not aware of the use that had in Paranormal Activity. But yeah, you know, Girahim comes up and he's like, "Oh, I was the one that showed that tornado." It's like, "Of course you were, Girahim. Of course you were." But yes, Girahim is Mr. Baddy Baddy. He is our antagonist for the game. Yeah, just when someone was fucking around with the you know, plan that the old lady was talking about, it was Mr. Diamonds himself, Mr. Girahim. It's like, it's just the girl that matters now, and I can sense her just beyond this door. But of course, you know, we were on a wild goose chase for Zelda, so is Girahim. We plucked Her Majesty. Her Majesty, bear in mind, there's no royalty yet. Mr. MCR, indeed. Like, he's got a very edgy, but a very distinct design. I think it's very memorable and cool, like, in the sense of it being very memorable and distinct. Like, I don't think he looks cool, but I think he looks very distinct. And he's a very memorable antagonist. And the way he acts as well. Is that very over-the-top, kind of unsettling way that he acts. And I'm being positively uncivil. Allow me to introduce myself. I am the Demon Lord who presides over this land you took down upon. This world you call the surface, you may call Girahim. And I've only ever heard people pronounce it Girahim. I don't know if there is another pronunciation, but I've always heard Girahim, like Girahim. In truth, I very much prefer to be indulged with my full title, Lord Girahim. But I'm not fussy. But clearly he is, right? He clearly is, but he's up. I'm not fussed. Did you really just draw your sword? Foolish boy. This dude is just a fucking anime villain. And I really love it. Again, like, the personality is really where this game shines. By all rights, the girl should have fallen into our hands already. She was nearly ours when that loathsome servant of the goddess snatched her away. Do you have any idea how that made me feel inside? He does look out of JoJo. Girahim would fit the fucking in JoJo. This turn of events has left me with a strong appetite for bloodshed. And I always imagine Girahim being so, like, apart from when he has little outbursts like that, but like these kind of lines of, like, just super duper, like, calm, well spoken, of like, well, this turn of events has left me with a strong appetite for bloodshed. And just that calm, soft spoken, I'm gonna fuck you up. Hardly seems fair, being of my position, to take all of my anger out on you. Which is why I promise upfront not to murder you. No, I think he's the stand. I think there's just someone in a corner somewhere just letting the stand go. Girahim is the stand. The tongue! The tongue! And the fact that he's like, I could kill you right now. I just can't be asked. I'm not going to murder you. But I fucking could. Yeah, this is 1000% some fanfic material. The fact that they have the balls to make, like, the antagonist the first boss fight, really clever. And he just steals your sword. And he's like, if you keep telegraphing your attacks like the novice you are, you'll never land a blow. And you have to go and fetch your sword. It's like, if you keep doing things like this, of like, he's looking at where you're about to attack from. So if you keep, like, just leaving, like, if you hold your hand up, like, waiting for attack, it's like, well, obviously you're about to attack from that direction. Like, I can see where you're holding your sword. So then just, like, unpredictability you have to try and use. But, yeah. When he grabs your sword with his fingers, I get, like, Android fucking 18 style. Just grabbing chunks of sword with the two fingers, like, no, no, no. You can, like, try and wiggle it back out, but... And that's normally the thing I remember. Is just, oh yeah, so you hold it to like one side and then immediately switch where you're telegraphing from. Yeah, I mean, it's always been on my list of like highly recommended things. Of just go watch fucking Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I need to, and that's just something that I've just not got around to it, but it's always been on my list, but I've just never gotten around to it, because, like, you know, you generally want to try and stay in the zeitgeist and stuff, but I no longer can defend that action, because instead of, you know, going and simply watching Full Metal Alchemist, guess what I'm, like, 20 episodes into watching? Yes, it may be One Piece all over again. Like, we just finished Syrup Village. We're like, yeah, I'm just we had a sad day, and like, let's just start One Piece again. Like, that's the thing. I've never heard anything but this is top tier anime. And I've just always had it on my list. Same with how I had, like, a few years ago, I'd had Cowboy Bebop on my list for years and years and years and just not got around to it. And I think I've asked this question multiple times already, so it is what it is. I know that I've already asked it, but it is fine to just go watch Brotherhood, right? Because it's some kind of, like, better remake of FMA. And you could just be like, just watch Brotherhood. It's not a sequel. Yeah, he like, that's why I like Girahim, is he is full-on anime villain. He is like, I'm not going to kill you. I'm just going to walk away. You win this time, Link. And it's like, oh, Girahim. Oh, Girahim. And that's the thing, just not necessarily the story, but like, especially the character and charm of this game is really what carries it, as well as the fact the temples are obviously well designed. Right, okay, so it's more that just Brotherhood kind of did it again and then stuck more to the manga. The only reason you're still alive is just because the sword that you have spent far too long teasing and toying with you. Girl's presence have all but faded from this place, which means there's no reason to linger here. Goodbye, Sky Child. Run and play this time. Get in my way again, though, and you're dead. Oh, Garrett, you're such a fucking anime villain. I'm like, I'll let you off this time. Yeah, Brotherhood is definitely up there as like one of the things I 100% need to watch. 100%. Just know I need to watch. I think at the moment though, it's a case of like, well, I got that the classic thing of Apple TV just giving away 6 months of Apple TV because so few people just actually pay for it. That like I've got a few months after that, so it's utilize all of that shit right now. Just get through the watch list on Apple TV Plus before the subscription or the free subscription ends. So I don't have to be actually paying for any of it. And then maybe we can get back to watching more stuff. But generally speaking, it's just, well, we're going to stick One Piece on when we need something to put on in the background or when we haven't got time to really get into something. It's just, should we stick on like another episode of One Piece? But yeah, in terms of like, it's one of those things of, generally speaking, there's always like something comedy that we're keeping up with, something more serious that we're keeping up with, the next movie we've got on the watch, the next, like, you know, One Piece is just like the thing we're watching at the moment where I've got half an hour to watch an episode or something before like going up to stream or getting some more work done or something, or like, you know, Jenna goes and does something like takes the dogs to a class or something like that, and it's just, well, we haven't got much time to commit and sit down to watching something, so that's where currently that is apparently just watching One Piece again. Yeah, we've been watching some Gen V as one of our things on at the moment. But a lot of the time we sit down and watch things while we're eating. And then Gen V is just so explicitly just grotesque. Which is the Boys spin-off. And same with the Boys. Of like, the Boys and Gen V are like really hard to watch while eating. Because just every now and then, like, people just blow the fuck up and it's really gruesome and realistic looking. And it's like, I don't really want to be watching like this or like people melting or something like while I'm eating my tea. So Zelda is here to purify her body. And we are standing in one of the springs that she needs to go to, Skyview Spring. The other is known as Earth Spring. So Zelda's basically been put with the task to go and like purify her royal self. Yeah, I was very tempted. Like I put Reacher on my watch list because of Carl. But again, when I sat down and went, okay, so I'm paying for Amazon Prime for delivery's sake more than like video's sake. So I just kind of have video paid for because I'm paying for deliveries for free. And it's like, so I'll kind of have Amazon anyway, probably, at least for the foreseeable future. Same with Netflix. I'm not planning on getting rid of that, and Disney Plus, same. That, you know, Unless they introduce, like, the password shit. Reacher is in, like, Reacher on Amazon, the newer one, with Alan Richardson, is it? Not the Tom Cruise ones. Which is just hilarious, of, like, finding out that Reacher, like, literally a massive part of the character and the story is that Reacher is a big dude. And the entire joke about Tom Cruise is always, like, he's a small guy that will never admit that he's a small dude. Or, like, not even small, just small and average. Like, I'm probably about Tom Cruise's height. I don't necessarily give a shit that I'm, like, I don't classify myself as, like, small, but I'm definitely smaller than average. And the difference is I just don't give a shit, whereas Tom Cruise is, like, sold this entire Hollywood persona around him being, like, 5'10" plus, which is just not true. And everyone knows it's not true, and it's just fucking hilarious. And it's like, whereas Alan Richardson is, like, what, 6'4" or something, and, like, he's 5'8". Okay, so that means he's a whole inch taller than me. But he seems to give way more of a shit about his height than I do about my 5'7"ness. So I'll openly admit I'm 5'7", whereas every single time you see Tom Cruise, it's like, no, he's clearly got, like, 5-inch heels on because he's taller than his 5'10" co-star women, like, female, like, actors of just, like, standing on the red carpet next to, like, these women who are all, like, 5'8" to 5'10", and for some reason he's taller than them. Like, that doesn't add up. It's very, very funny. It's more just, like, again, don't give a shit how tall he is, but he clearly does. And that's what's funny about it. It's those big old shoes, those big old lifts. It's like when you see the shots of, like, Robert Downey Jr. Like, you basically never see his ankles and or feet because he is basically wearing, like, big flared, like, jeans or whatever it is and massive lifts on his heels to make himself, you know, look of a better stature. And it's like, it's just very funny to see those, like, behind-the-scenes pictures of, like, Robert Downey Jr. with just, like, the big flare bottoms with the big, massive, chunky shoes. Like, come on. You're fucking Iron Man. Does it matter? Like, nearly everybody in the world, regardless of their height, would want to be you right now. Like, you are the coolest person in, like, Marvel movies. Like, everyone fucking loves you. You're the highest paid actor at the time. And just, yeah. You just can't accept the fact that, like, maybe some people are taller than you. Yeah, that was great. The huge Jack man. Just having to go barefoot and then them use, like, the camera's perspective to make Wolverine looks smaller than these teenagers. Like, oh, who do we imagine as this 5'2", angry Canadian dude? How about this 6'3", jacked as shit Australian? Yeah. Yeah, that sounds excellent. That sounds like perfect casting. Just get someone that's a full foot taller than the character's meant to be. And obviously, you know, it doesn't really matter, like, the fact that he's Australian to Canadian. He pulls it off fine, but just... I think he does more of an American accent than Canadian, but I find it hard to necessarily tell from English Canadian to American sometimes. Big man playing the small character, but they just make him Eventually, they just give up, and it's like, it's fine. Wolverine can be big in this universe, but the entire point is that he's like this savage, angry, tiny man. At least in the comics. But yeah, we will end it there, because that's a good point of just like, we ended that temple, we got to see Girahim, we got to see Jojo, like the Jojo character himself, of like Mr. Anime Villain. And I think that's the best way to just sell people on Skyward Sword, is just show them that Girahim scene of like, yeah, a lot of it is very linear, a lot of it is a bit weird, a lot of it can be like kind of tedious, but you also get moments where you get like Girahim. And there's a lot of very cool temples and a lot of very cool character and charming moments in the game. Apologies. And just that's what really like makes this game memorable for me. Just it's a game that hasn't aged very well in very different ways. And yeah, no, it's nearly, it's like 20 past 1 in the morning for me, so I should probably try and get tired. Try and be, you know, reasonable with my sleep schedule to a certain extent, but we'll be back next Tuesday to continue. It's just a nice place to wrap things up, I think. Like, we'll be on to the next segment, we'll be on to the next area of the world next time, and yeah. We'll be back on Thursday to continue our Pokemon X Nuzlocke, where after the travesty that was last time, I have leveled up a lot of the like currently alive and probably useful Pokemon. Just off stream to make it so that we have a chance. Because we were getting devastated by the end of last stream. And it was brutal as fuck. But yeah. Hopefully we'll have a bit of a better chance to actually make it to the end of Pokemon X now. We haven't got the best Pokemon available anymore, but at least they're leveled up. So that's something, I guess. But yeah, we'll see on Thursday how many Pokemon we continue to lose. But thank you all for joining. Hope everyone has a lovely day, evening, or night, wherever you are, everyone. Thank you for joining in.